All right, let's move on to this one. This one went pretty viral.
Speaking of people who know how to fight.
Well, that's right. Without even trying.
Yeah.
You know, this guy's a true, like, comedian and a man's man type stuff. Bill Burr is. So
he's a people's man.
He had some thoughts on his podcast. What was the last thing we covered with him? Who'd he go after?
Shit.
Oh, no.
Oh, Luigi Mangia. He was talking about Luigi. Yeah.
He was saying, like, we got to put these billionaires down like rabid dogs.
That's right.
That's what he said. Well, now I guess somebody asked him a question about Elon, or he just sort of started riffing on Elon, and enjoy.
It was funny. I made fun of the fucking Twitter guy for fucking Sieg Heiling not once but twice. And I never look at my emails. I was scrolling through my emails, and it said my Twitter account had been flagged for I don't even tweet anymore. It had been flagged for whatever. What a fucking baby. Just like Hitler. A fucking baby. How about the fact that the Twitter guy he's not even from here. He's from South Africa. He comes to this country and wants to turn it into a fucking dictatorship. He doesn't feel that we deserve democracy. Can you just imagine doing that? Going to another country and just deciding, yeah, you know what? I'm going to change this form of government because I've decided. Yeah, he doesn't mind living under a dictatorship as long as he's on the good side of it. Fucking laminated face cunt. Because that's another thing. All of these people that are into fucking Hitler, you know what I mean? And like look at this guy like he was some sort of fucking hero. The guy's one of the biggest fucking cowards ever. All the pain and all the suffering that guy's caused, and the war crimes the Allies had to commit, firebombing fucking cities to get that motherfucker. When it came time for him to pay the price for all the suffering he caused millions and millions and millions of people. Did he face the music? Nope. He gave himself a nice, quick, painless fucking death. That's your fucking hero? Fucking coward is what he was.
Tell us how you really feel, Bill.
God, it's just so really nice to hear someone who makes some fucking sense and has like a shred of morality. It's just so nice.
I just like him. I pointed this out the last time, but him and Joe Rogan are friends. If he's following even a little bit the shit Rogan says, he's got to be like, ugh. Yeah, I just need to take a bath listening to this motherfucker. Jesus Christ.
I mean, it's just so like, he just got so cucked by power, you know? Like the slavish devotion to Elon is one of the more embarrassing things I've ever seen.
Just like the overlooking all of the negative stories about Elon. Like, has he even commented on the thing that really caught on with the bros, which was that Elon brazenly lied about being number one in the world, or top, one of the best players in the world at some video game?
Yeah.
Like, and he even made that claim on Rogan. Elon did.
Did he really?
Yes.
Oh my God.
But like, Joe, did you not see that, or did you see that and you chose not to discuss it, or like? I know Rogan has to have seen some of the stories, right? Like Elon cutting NIH funding, which goes to cancer research for kids, or cutting the HIV medicine for, overseas, or cutting the Department of Education, or firing the flight safety officials as the planes are falling out of the sky, or killing the anti-scam police, the CFPB, which is one of the best government agencies we have. Like, you're telling me you've seen none of these stories?
Well, Rogan greased the skids for the CFPB destruction, because he had on both Andreessen and Zuckerberg,
and they all said the same thing,
to go on and trash us. Oh, it's Elizabeth Warren's agency for debanking conservative. Just a bunch of bullshit. It's the exact opposite. It protects people from being debanked. And he's, oh yeah, really? Oh, that's Elizabeth Warren's agency. And then lo and behold, immediately they completely gut it and destroy it. I mean, it's dead.
So does Rogan do the thing that so many on the right do, where it's like he just puts it in the fake news portion of his mind and goes, I don't need to think about this. It's fake news, right? Like, how do you rationalize this stuff when you think Elon Musk is a genius and you coddle his balls every time you do a show?
I mean, I think he and many are truly tricked by, like, the way that they'll, the way Andreessen and Zuckerberg framed the CFPB was through some culture war bullshit. And it was like, oh, it's, it's anti-conservative, it's DEI, it's woke. And then they're just like, okay. And so if they can put the woke label on any sort of like pro-oligarch bullshit, he and many others just eat it up.
But that's so sad, because even many of Elon's own followers and supporters were in his replies when he said RIP CFPB, and they were like, whoa, hold on. This place got me my money back. this is a good agency. They fight the fraud. They're not committing the fraud. His own people were saying, guys, this agency helped literally 200 million Americans. That's the majority of Americans have a positive impression of this agency.
Yeah.
And so I guess Rogan never had any experience with the CFPB because he's worth a gazillion, quadrillion, quadrillion dollars.
Yeah.
Right? So, but again, it's just hard, like wake up. He's humiliating. I mean, he's ruining his own podcast with this stuff. I mean, he fell to number 2. Midas Touch, the anti-Trump podcast, leapfrogged him. You know, now for the first time in a long time, he actually had a tiny, tepid disagreement with Elon Musk, where he was like, yeah, you know, just it's a problem with being hyperbolic when you say that 150-year-olds are getting Social Security.
What did you make of that? Do you think, I feel like he is uncomfortable with being such a he really wants to be seen as Mr. Independent.
Yeah, well,
and so the fact that he's just like totally partisan dude, I think that doesn't sit that well with him.
That's right, which is why he also said, after endorsing Trump, he was like, me, bro, I got like Republican ideas and Democrat ideas, bro. I'm like, bro, I'm in the middle, bro. He tried to do that whole song and dance, and like, motherfucker, you just had Donald Trump on for 3 hours and did everything but break out the hot oil, right?
Yeah.
And like, let him lie to your face repeatedly. Like Trump said to Rogan's face, I never said lock her up about Hillary Clinton. I never said that. People would say that in the crowd, and I'd go, well, I don't know about that.
It's also,
like,
the whole thing is so stale, too. Like, how many times are we going to talk about these same, like, handful of stories?
Never ends. It never ends.
And
bro, the wokeness on college campuses is out of control, bro.
I mean, I feel like that's probably part of why he's seen a decline and lost his, top position, is not only the ideological piece, but it's also just like, this is stale. I mean, you listen to Bill Burr, like it's actually edgy. It's actually entertaining.
And it's current.
It's current. It's funny. It's different. Like he's not just saying the same things over and over again. He's not just like having on some oligarch to let them make their stupid case full of lies about why the anti-scam agency should be destroyed. I just think it's so tired at this point too.
I got something you're going to like.
Okay.
So I watched a video on this the other day, but he had Woody Harrelson on, Rogan did. And at one point in that podcast, he goes, Woody Harrelson was like, hey, how do you like stay down to earth given that like, you're all the way up at the top of the mountain now, et cetera. And Rogan goes, what I like to do is I like to keep myself grounded by putting myself through voluntary adversity. Like, for example, with the sauna and the cold plunge in the gym. And the video I was watching, they were like, do you have any idea how out of touch you fucking sound? There's some poor mother out there with like 3 kids, single mother, can barely fucking pay the rent, trying to like live day to day. And he's like, I put myself through adversity in the sauna and stuff, bro.
That's how he stays in touch.
Yeah, that's how I stay. That's how I stay grounded.
Private gym and cold plunge.
Like, oh my God. Yeah, man, the brainworms are
Man
real,
of the
bro.
people.
But just to get back to Burr real quick.
Yeah.
I like how he basically went down the list. He was like, this guy's from fucking South Africa. Like, what are we doing? I thought the people on the right were, we're against the immigrants. Oh, and here comes this fucking South African creep, and they're all on board.
Yeah.
So I like it when people point that out because according to Elon's brother, Elon was actually originally an illegal immigrant. So what we're talking about here, to put it in perspective,
overstay his visa or something, something like that. Yeah.
So what we're talking about here is an illegal immigrant, welfare queen, as you pointed out, taking $38 billion from the federal government in tax money, ketamine addict, hypomanic, robber baron. Like, that's the descriptor. And this is who you guys are genuflecting at the altar of? And Rogan is chief among them. He's still, super genius, Elon, bro. Oh, you're so smart, Elon. Oh, you're so smart, Elon.
The tech world has created this, like...
deification.
Yes, and this image of the great genius man. Actually, the Theranos lady, Elizabeth, what's her name? Holmes. She intentionally cultivated, she'd like always wear the same outfit.
Like Steve Jobs,
and she tried to impersonate effectively Steve Jobs to create this persona. And I think there's this weird mystique, like the fact that Elon comes off as so weird helps to, in a weird way, like build this aura of, this great man, this great genius. He's just operating on another level. His brain is just
so easily tricked.
So many times, and I think Trump has fallen. I think Rogan's fallen into that. I think there's a whole cult of Elon that has fallen into believing the Elon's own hype. He really thinks he is the greatest person that has ever lived and that lives currently. And there are certain people who have just gotten sucked into that view of him.
And like, if at this late date you still don't see it, I have to question your intelligence, because it is so obvious that this guy's a fraud. Again, I've plugged this a million times. I'll plug it a million more. Type into YouTube Thunderfoot Elon Musk and then put aside like 4 hours and watch all the videos he did on him. The guy has always been a con artist, period. There was, in 2017, for example, he released this, what was supposed to be this Tesla sports car, right? He did this big event.
Right.
And he was talking about all the things it can do. And he ended up taking these massive, not donations, but down payments. He took these massive down payments for it and said, yeah, oh yeah, it's coming out or whatever. All these people put down their down payments and got nothing for it because they never built the car.
Oh my
and
God.
experts at the time were saying, hey, we know the claims he's making, but in order for this car to function, this electric sports car, the battery itself, to hit the numbers Elon is saying, would have to be bigger than what the car is. So in other words, they don't have the technology to do this. And so what Elon did, that's an instance of what's called vaporware, where you go to sell this thing, the thing doesn't even fucking exist, right? That's just one example, guys. You got the Hyperloop. You got a million different examples. Oh, I'm going to get you to Mars in a decade. Oh, look, it's fucking 15 years later. We're not a pube hair's length closer to Mars, right? So this is who this guy is. The guy's a fraud. The guy's, in fact, there's parallels with him and Trump, because what Elon's good at is the relentless self-promotion and the PR.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Same with Elizabeth Holmes.
Yeah.
Same with Donald Trump. And that's why you look at a guy like Trump and you go, holy shit, look at all this dirt here. He stiffed electricians. He stiffed plumbers. He stiffed the people who built his golf clubhouses. He stiffed the people who were involved with his casinos. He did tax fraud and insurance fraud and business fraud. Did Trump University, which was a fraud, and stole money from Trump, the charity. Like, usually the relentless self-promoters who can't stop sucking themselves off and trying to create an aura around them, they are the biggest con men. They are the biggest frauds. And again, at this late date, if you don't see it, I have to question your intelligence, because there's been 1,000 stories. Hey, this guy cut cancer research for kids. This guy cut the HIV medicine that goes overseas that saves countless lives. This guy cut the Department of Education. They're firing more flight safety officials as planes are falling out of the sky. They tried to backdate $400 million to give to Starlink. Did you see this story?
To give to Tesla, you mean?
Was it Tesla or was it?
Yeah,
Yeah, it was
Tesla.
Tesla. You're right. So
For the
Joe
armored
Biden.
Cybertrucks.
So Joe Biden was sending, I believe the exact number was $453,000 to Tesla. Trump and Elon get in there. They go, let's backdate this, make it look like Biden was giving Tesla $400 million, and then give Elon the money.
Yeah.
Committing fraud brazenly, right? How many of these stories have to come out before you look at it and say, this guy is really bad news. He's not smart. I'm sorry, he's not smart. If you pretend like you're the best video game player at some shit in the world and then you suck at it, like, that's such a petty fucking lie that you probably lie about everything, right? He's not smart. He's a total fraud, and people need to wake up to it, man. And unfortunately, I think what's going to happen is the time when everybody will wake up is when it directly, personally impacts them. That's the time everybody will wake up. So with like the Medicaid cuts, for
I mean, a lot of people are waking up.
That's
a
true,
lot of
and
people are waking up.
he wants to cut 50% from the Social Security Administration. When people start not getting Social Security checks, and it's very clear to them that every news article says, if this was Elon's cuts,
yeah,
like, this is not going to end pretty, Crystal.
No.
This is going to end very, very ugly.
Yeah, that's absolutely the case. But I don't even think it will take everybody being directly impacted. I think already things have turned dramatically.
Yeah, you're kind of right. 34% approval rating for Musk, 26% support what he's doing with Doge. It's already imploded.
Yeah, because people can see it's just so naked. I mean, Americans have a very divided view on billionaires. On the one hand, they buy into some of the hype about the great man and the genius, and oh, look at this, amazing industrialist, and look at this technology he's created. And then on the other hand, they're deeply distrustful, like, oh, they're just going to be in it for themselves, greedy, self-dealing, corrupt, etc. And so it was kind of a jump ball. Which version of the billionaire people would see in Elon? And at this point, I think it's so clear the level of self-dealing, corruption, and arrogance that he has brought to the table that, people are really disgusted with that. And then you add to that the tax cuts for the rich and the cuts to the poor and the fraud with regard to $400 million, like just trying to funnel it into his pockets. There's a news story about how they're going into the FAA and taking a contract that was for Verizon and handing it to Starlink.
All illegal, yeah.
Yeah, so, I mean, I don't think people are still... Listen, the Trump diehards, like, whatever, they're going to do what they're going to do. It would take them, like, literally losing their job, and then they'd still be like, well, it's not really Trump's fault, you know?
Which has happened with some people, too.
Yeah, that's right. Sadly, it has. Absolutely has. But I think for the vast majority of people, like, they're already seeing through the game here. It's just a matter of whether the American people are going to be left with enough power to do anything about it.
Yeah, that's right. And just to piggyback off one of your points, you said billionaire. Billionaire is sort of viewed in the American imagination as almost like a neutral term. Some people think it's negative, some people think it's positive, some people it has a neutral connotation. And that's why I've been telling everybody, start calling them robber barons. You can call them billionaires too, you can call them oligarchs too, but you have to say robber baron because there is no positive connotation for robber baron.
Yeah.
People think about, oh, robber baron, Gilded Age, child labor, they got all the money, everybody else has crumbs.
Yeah.
Right? And that's where we're at. Call them robber barons because that's what they are.
Yeah. And Elon would be nowhere without the taxpayer.
38 billion.
So he had to go hat in hand to the Obama administration and beg for a $500 million roughly loan for Tesla. Otherwise, Tesla goes under. SpaceX doesn't exist without Defense Department and NASA contracts. And the government even allowed them to like miss all these milestones and fuck things up and kept giving them money. And neither one of those companies survives without government subsidies. So, you know, classic. He wants rugged individualism for all of you, wants to privatize everything, cut your Social Security, cut your Medicare, cut your Medicaid, and he wants the whole of the federal government treasury to be lining his pockets. That's his goal. That's his goal.
So in other words, Bill Burr, 100% correct.
Good job, buddy.
I believe he called him a laminated face cunt.
The laminated face.
And a massive coward.
Because that's really well said.
That very well said. Bill Burr, you're right. Joe Rogan, take notes, please. All right, guys, today we talked to Congressman Maxwell Frost, who's been leading the way in fighting back against Trump and MAGA and Elon Musk. He just got censored and nearly kicked out of a hearing the other day, so you're not going to want to miss him talking about that. You're not going to want to miss him talking about fighting back against the right. He's one of the few that's really leading the charge. So sign up below on Substack if you want to see the entire interview, which I highly recommend.